I'd like to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. Of course, Chris thought he was going to have more time, but you have to be flexible. So while Chris slowly makes his way on up, very slowly, walking really slowly. Chris is the CEO and co-founder of Own the Key. He was a member of the Stanford, Connecticut Little League baseball team and played in the Little League World Series in 1983. He pitched in the late innings of the final U.S. bracket. Unfortunately, they lost to Georgia 8-9. After the game, ABC Sports broadcaster Keith Jackson yelled to Chris, "Hey, Forte, you've got hard." So, kind of kept that as his motto. He learned at an early age that success is not an achievement, a trophy, or the amount of money you have in your bank. Success is how you persevere through adversity. No one here has ever gone through adversity. Through his past experiences of investing and selling rent-to-own properties, and the effect the mortgage crisis had on his family and business, his journey led him to today, developing a company focused on helping people persevere through their own financial challenges in order to realize the benefits of home ownership. Welcome up, Chris Forte.
Thank you. Thank you, Milton.
Sure.
And thank all of you for being here tonight and giving me the opportunity to spread the word about Own the Key. As Milton mentioned, I am the co-founder and CEO of Own the Key. John, my push-button assistant today, is headed up our sales and marketing. And we know we have 5 minutes, so we ready to go. Don't start that clock until our freeze those up.
He said it takes a couple seconds.
Okay.
That's good. It took me that long to find my stopwatch, so.
Right. Own the Key. Own the Key exists because of today's environment. Today, 30% of people that are applying for loans are getting denied a mortgage. 25 million people have credit lower than 620 in our top 25 U.S. cities in our country. 34% of all people that can qualify for a home are unqualifiable today. That's why Own the Key exists. We're helping people improve their credit and their financial situation in order to qualify for a mortgage that they can afford. Why are people getting denied? They're getting denied to their credit history, they're getting denied to qualifying income or debt. The target market right now is 61 million people have subprime credit. That represents 35% of the borrowing population. I see a lot of young folks here in the room. I can't tell you how many young folks we're working with because of student loans, mounting student loans that are holding them back. I don't know if that affects anybody here, but come talk to me after, because it's holding our country back for purchasing homes today. That's just one of many. What sets us apart is what we're doing is with our clients, we're educating them on their credit, we're educating them on their money management, and home affordability. But most important, we're using online tools with our guided personal service. This is the core of our business. Our guided personal service is our coaches. Our coaches are FICO certified. They understand credit. They understand the navigation, how it works. But more importantly, they've got mortgage banking experience. So over the last 18 months, oh, John, back up. No, that's okay. Over the last 18 months, and we continue to tweak this and perfect it, but what we've developed is the 12 levels of success. This is the core of our business, our coaching. This is what it takes to help somebody get to the finish line. And it's this hands-on approach, along with technology, that we're making a difference. How do we acquire our customers? 95% of the customers we're getting is due to online consumer direct marketing, lead generation. We're slowly penetrating banks and lenders who are sending us their loan denials. It is harder than forever right now for banks. We have one of the largest lenders right here in our backyard, Quicken Loans, and anybody there will tell you it is tough for them right now to get people qualified for loans. It is a purchase market. So slowly and slowly, we're becoming an integral part of these banks. They know they have to invest in the people that right now cannot get qualified for mortgages. Our competition right now is very fragmented. There's a lot of online tools. I'm sure a lot of you people have heard of maybe Credit Karma or Quizzle. They're good programs. You can go get there your free credit score. You can get some credit monitoring or identity protection. But they don't give you the tools or resources to help you improve your credit, to improve your score, to get a loan. Our biggest competition are credit repair companies. I don't know if anybody has gone to a credit repair company. There's thousands in our country, okay? This is another reason I got into this business. Someone asked me to invest in a credit repair company. I went into those doors. We did our due diligence, and I couldn't believe 90% of people who go to credit repair companies go for one reason, to want to get a loan. And they don't deliver on that because credit's just one piece of the puzzle. It's an important piece, but you need the right financial makeup and the right way to improve your credit to get a loan. The largest credit repair company in our country, sometimes they get, oh, is this business something that could stay for a long time, Chris? You know what happens when the market improves? The largest credit repair company in our country is called Lexington Law. They're based out of Utah. They've been around 25 years. They're a $400 million company, and they do 2,000 signups a day. Right now, my sales staff right now is selling against Lexington Law each and every day, taking Lexington Law customers because people have been on Lexington Law and say, my whole goal was to get a home. My whole goal was to get a home. So it is that passion, that fire, and not only is this in me, but everyone in our organization. It is a missing piece right now that's going on. We are making a difference. What we've accomplished in a short period of time has been pretty good. Could get better, but it's good. 2.5 years, we have over 600 customers. We've generated $500,000. And the most proud figure that we continue to improve is 5% of all our folks are getting homes as we speak. Our revenue comes from customer memberships, mortgage referral, and real estate. 95% is coming from our customer memberships. $179 to sign up, and it's $79 per month. Average customer lasts 6 months. Johnny? Okay. Our clients and our lenders love us. We have clients all over the country. I think it's fitting. I came in tonight just to do this presentation not knowing what to happen, and I'm sitting next to a former client right here, Kellen. I say, Chris, how are you doing? And we just had a great chat. Don't want to put words in his mouth, but he had a good experience. And also said, you know, there's a couple other things you guys can improve upon. But it shows already, on the key, the word is spreading. So we're out there hard, pounding, investing money. We've raised $500,000. I'm here because we need $400,000 more to close out our Series A. It's mainly for technology, to build a more consumer-friendly interaction with our consumers. So we can build an online portal where they can be there, have access 24/7 to their whole profile, and also leverage technology for our coaches and give us the ability to scale. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, 5 minutes for Q&A.
Yes?
Who else is involved in your Series A?
Right now we have, it's mostly family and friends, 7 investors.
5% seems low. I mean, is there a comparison that, I mean, in the industry? But I would think that number should be higher if your goal is to move them through a 6-month program so that they get a loan. And only 5% still qualify after your program?
Okay, 5% of folks are purchasing a home, is what you're saying? When I said that 5% number?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's happening is we have 180 people right now in pre-approval status, meaning they've gotten pre-approved to get a home, but there's still something that we can't control when they go through the mortgage qualification process. Because these are all people purchasing a home, we give them a pre-qualification status, and then they have to go out and shop for a home. So 5% are actually closing on homes.
Oh, okay.
So out of 600, 180 of those people we've brought into pre-approval status that will eventually be closing and closing and closing on homes. Great question.
How long does it take to go through the program?
On average, it's 6 months.
Great pitch.
Thank you.
Question on scalability and leverage. It appears to be very labor intensive.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of gross margins, or how you're using technology to get people through the process?
So right now, as I mentioned, $79 per month. We're making 60 on that 79. And what we want to do is leverage the technology, because we're going to be heavy on the coaches, the actual people doing the work.
Right.
And so they can carry a load of 300 customers. With the technology, we want to do,
Right.
by consumer, they can do up to 600 customers. So we could double their productivity. And also the consumer could have a lot more exposure to their account, so there will be less talk time.
What's your current customer base? Head count?
Head count? We have 600 customers.
You guys guarantee that they'll qualify?
No. And that, no, we would not be able to do that. Cannot. Our goal is we can get them to a place of mortgage qualifying status, which right now for most products is credit 620.
Chris, I don't know where you're from, but here in Detroit, I wonder if you're working with municipalities that are trying to qualify people to become homeowners. So here in Detroit, the mayor has come up with a home buying program in East Village. And there's a whole process online to provide an opportunity. Now, the people who want to purchase these homes have to get a mortgage, but they also have the backing of an existing program, and those may be something that are not beyond just Detroit and other areas. So have you worked with any municipalities to build a customer base?
Yeah, we've looked into it, and just it doesn't fit our model, because we're both going more of a nationwide model, and a lot of our stuff is done online. And even though we have talked to some municipalities here, it's just it's a longer sales cycle. So not.
They're all online.
Yes.
And they're going through it now. I think they closed the bidding on the first home.
Okay.
And a series of homes. They're going to be thousands each building.
Right.
And I was just curious about whether you were aware of such programs that have online processes to qualify and get people through. Because there is a bank now that's qualifying with the Calmer Bank here in Detroit has put up $1 million for the West Side to do that, to help people get mortgages.
Great. But thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your 4 things for your investment. Give me a bit more on what you mean by product development.
Product development is more for our consumer-facing product, and what that means is we want to build like a portal where consumers can kind of go in and be exposed to exactly their whole profile, where we don't have that today. And in addition, product development, we want to have more of a self-service model. So I mentioned we have a $79.95 product. We believe we could come out with a $19.95 product where the consumer, and we can give all the education to the consumer to do it themselves, and then have the option to have a coach.
Any other questions? Great.
One more? Oh, we got one more in the back.
I was going to ask, like, do you have any other needs besides right now, like staffing or anything else besides money right now?
I'm always looking for hard-earned. If you ever want entrepreneurial experience, my whole life I've been an entrepreneurial. I feel like I'm 44. I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 25. I've bought and sold companies. If you're an entrepreneur and want to roll your sleeves up and will do anything it takes, we're looking for home ownership consultants to sell our service. We're looking for coaches. We got people in biz dev. We're kind of on the verge of really high tech, doing some high tech stuff. So anytime, I'm looking for great people.
Okay, we'll go ahead and break there. I think you'll be around for the end of the evening.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Ask more questions after. Great. There should be a detail here. There should be one here.
Okay, so
On
that's
the
it
computer.
here, or, oh, so, okay.
There's trouble getting it out there,
I mean, I have a stick.
I'll let Ty go ahead and take care of it.
Doesn't matter, I didn't.
Okay, we're going to wind the clock back to 6 o'clock. And so while Patty's getting her presentation hooked up, let me give you a little bit of her background. Patti Glaza is an active member of the region's startup community. That's why she wasn't here. She's out in Ann Arbor working with some folks. She's a principal at Arsenal Venture Partners, helping to manage a $70 million national technology fund. She's a board member of the Michigan Venture Capital Association, the Great Lakes Protection Fund, and with the most recent investment, Varsity News Network in Grand Rapids, which was the grand prize winner at Accelerate Michigan. Yep. So pretty awesome. In her spare time, which she has tons of, she's an instructor for the Inforum Activate Women's Entrepreneurial class. She's an I-Corps facilitator, and she also helps out as a mentor or judge with many of the region's accelerator programs and our business plan competitions.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no. So I really appreciate being here, and I want to give big kudos to TechTown and the other accelerator programs in the area. I think without programs like this, really being able to give emphasis to our entrepreneurial community, kickstart folks, kind of build that community, and have hubs where we can meet and get together, just wouldn't happen. So I'm really excited that we have now all these resources, and TechTown with its new redesign, not so new, but it's a gorgeous space, and really it's wonderful that they welcome the DNewTech. You know, it's been a few months since I've been at one of these meetings, so some of you, I see some of the Activate class here, so welcome to you guys. But recognize many faces from other meetings. But hopefully you do see me in the community and feel very comfortable to come and talk to me about what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. I've got a pretty open door policy in terms of meeting with folks and trying to provide some guidance. So first, I'm very sorry I was late today. So I thought an hour and a half time getting out of Ann Arbor was enough, but with all the construction and 96 being closed, I didn't leave enough time. So that was very much my bad, and I sincerest apologies to you guys for not being here on time. Okay. All right. And so I have a couple slides. I'm only going to go real fast because I hate slides. But we just released the MBCA annual report, and there's some interesting slides that will give you a sense for what's going on in the I am technical, and it looks like it.
Take your time.
Some interesting slides to give you a chance to see what some of the statistics are in terms of the angel and venture investing in the area. So Arsenal, which is a traditional venture fund, I think I can get help trying to get this. I don't know why it's not.
I believe the dialogue box.
Lisa Parker.
So we typically invest, usually A/B rounds. We tend to invest $1 million, $1.5 million in our first round. We'll reserve $3 to $5 million over the life of a company. Now we have found trends where we've done a lot of seed deals this year. And I'm starting, I've just read an article about that sort of being a national trend, but we're certainly being pulled into that. So not sure all the factors behind it, but what we're starting to do is starting to invest earlier in smaller amounts. Still with syndicates. We like syndicate partners, other venture firms that will partner with us. And so we'll go in, where typically we probably wouldn't go in until a company was, if it was a execution play, we wouldn't go in until it had a reasonable proof demonstration of execution. Technology will go a little earlier, but now we're finding that we have to do more bite size, like 500 to 750 for the entrepreneurs to start to feel comfortable with the syndicates and to then be able to do a larger round in the next 9 to 12 months. And this is unusual, and this is a shift. where before we really wouldn't jump into a deal until it was, a little later stage from our perspective. So you don't get to see the slides. So one of the things maybe I can do is give you a little bit of differentiation between the different rounds of funding. And so when you look at barriers or when do you really go after angel funding these days? And so, and I think these lines are all fuzzy, right? So if you look at the funding continuum, you've got companies who are going after the grants and the prize dollars, get that initial kind of money to get their demonstration up and running. And then you have, certainly the sources of equity capital, which are, friends and family. There's an interesting stat between friends, family, and you. 80% of all startup companies rely primarily on the you. So that's the initial source of capital for your business is you. Then friends and family come next. I'm just reading an interesting article though. There's a lot of rules going on with the Jobs Act and crowdfunding. You got to be careful in terms of how you and where you announce that you're raising funding. You may disqualify yourself from taking funding from your own friends and family by going out and seeking institutional capital. So these are kind of new nuances. If you are deciding to raise, you think you're going to raise friends and family, which you probably are if you're going down that continuum, might benefit you to make sure you have a good lawyer and talk to them about these crowdfunding rules, because they're really saying that no social media at all. So no Facebook, no Twitter, no anything that gives anybody indication that you're raising funds, because the SEC can come back and say that wasn't allowed. So we'll go back to the slides. I'm just a little propping for the MBCA. So everybody has their associations. The most venture firms, almost all venture firms truly active in Michigan, are part of the Michigan Venture Capital Association, and that also includes a lot of the angel groups. So if you're trying to find, who are the investors in the state, it's a great resource for you as well to be able to get a list of the members there. So I thought this was interesting from a perspective of showing where does, that was bad.
It takes a while for it to come back,
right.
but it takes longer than usual.
All right, so I might skip this slide because I was trying to do pretty graphics and overlay this. But what basically this is saying is in terms of deals, Michigan is pretty good in the Midwest. So this is that 72 number, we're pretty high. So I look at the Midwest, Illinois is the best in terms of venture, Ohio's next, and Michigan's sort of in there. Indiana, Wisconsin, pretty bad, Minnesota's kind of in between. But what is more telling though is the dollars. And so the dollars is where Michigan sort of kind of went down into the pack. So we're doing a lot of deals here, and that's good, right? So we're doing a lot of deals, but they're smaller bites. And that's probably a good thing for the folks in this room, as long as there's capital, follow-on capital, to kind of keep carrying on these companies down the line. This is really hard to read, but I want to give you a sense of magnitude. One of the big trends that's happening in the national venture space is the number of firms has been going down and the number of professionals has been going down. So, we're at about 873, a little up from 2009, but that's not a lot of firms. So when you're looking for capital, you're trying to figure out who to talk to, that number has really been shrinking in terms of the available number of people to talk to. But Michigan is improving. So we were really on the low end of having active venture firms in the state and active professionals. I think we've doubled in the past 5 years in terms of number of venture folks who are investing. And in terms of angel investing, I'll show in just a minute, this huge explosion in number of angel investors and folks that are willing to fund your company. These are just some high-level trends. So nationally, the number of VC firms is going down, or professionals is going down. We're going up significantly. Number of VC firms in existence. So I guess that is an increase, but 44% increase in Michigan. Capital under management is increasing significantly in Michigan, so hopefully that will over time allow for some later stage deals. And the fund size is shrinking nationally, but also growing a little bit in Michigan. So it's not, I mean, this makes you feel like, oh wow, Michigan's awesome, and it is great. In terms of the community of professional investment professionals, it's extremely close. We meet a lot to talk through deals. We work together. So we'll often meet with you, say, oh wow, this is great. Well, let me also call Joe, Bob, and Sally, because let's see if we can't pull a really good syndicate together for you. And that's a good thing for you, typically. There's a point where a lot of investors can be hard to manage, but having a couple institutional investors that can bring their professional networks, that have additional capital, but folks who have the ability to help you through that next phase and make sure that you have the connections to get you through that next round of funding. So this is a trend on Michigan venture financing. So the deals is going up. So the number of deals is going up, but the deals are getting smaller. So that means smaller round sizes. And that's not necessarily bad, but the concern, and in the state, everyone's kind of fearing this, okay, we've got all this money going into seed deals, pre-seed deals, and trying to get everyone enough money to get out the gate. Will there be enough funding to get companies past that, those first milestones? But overall, this little, last year not so good, but I think we'll see, it return again next year. Life science dominates Michigan, but there is a lot of IT, and there's a lot of opportunity, across different sectors. It's really about good deals and finding a venture group or angel group that's interested in what your business is. I was meeting with a company, it was a transportation company just before this meeting, and they've got a great technology, and they're at demonstration, they're ready to get a pilot stage, they've got a customer lined up, but it's not a huge market, and it's going to be slow to get to market, but it's a good company. And what I really tried to emphasize, I'm like, look, if a venture person turns you down, and I'm going to tell you, you're probably not going to get venture money for this deal. Like, I can't tell you 100%, but it's unlikely. But it doesn't mean you don't have a great company. And don't beat your head against the wall trying to get money from a source of capital that may not be ideal for you. If you get 15 no's, I know the rule in the book is keep knocking on the door to get 100 no's, but really listen to the reasons why. And if you kind of are hearing this isn't a good venture deal, it doesn't mean you don't have a great company and have a great opportunity. It's just look for alternative sources of capital. And it could be an angel. So really seeking who are the wealthy individuals that have come from this space or might have a passion for this space that I see active. Go talk to them. They often will fund companies just because this is their space and they believe in it, they see your vision, and they want to help you. Obviously, the state has lots of programs, there are different resources, but don't get fixated on one source of capital. Make sure you go out, talk to a bunch of people to figure out what are the right sources of capital that are important for your business. So, you know what? There was actually a drop in seed financings from last year to 2013. The startup early stage, though, is growing. I'm not sure there's enough to say in trends, but information tech has really risen over the past year. So there are more investors that are willing to put capital to non-life science deals. We were kind of stuck in the life sciences for a while, but I think we've exited that. Angel financing, this is my graph, so that's why it looks so ugly. This is interesting. So IT dominates the angel financing. So there's less life science seeds. So there's a lot more opportunity, consumer products, advanced materials, to be able to get angel funding in those areas. There was a little bit of a downturn in terms of I think it was 12 million last year, 9 million, or 12 million in 2012, 9, almost 10 million last year, but that's pretty incremental differences. I think the number of angel groups that are active and wanting to deploy capital are there. It's just a matter of being comfortable reaching out and finding the right networks for it. So talking a little bit about the funding sources. Exhaust all funding sources. It's not just equity. Certainly make sure that there's a lot of non-dilutive options out there. And the resources here that you have at your fingertips are incredible. The state has poured lots of dollars to make sure there's the Sparks, the TechTowns, the Automation Alleys, the home incubators, the the Wisdoms, all the groups that you can reach out to and sit down, the Small Business Development Center that can help guide you in terms of where are you at, help you identify where do you fit in your development, where should you be reaching out to, and again, talk to people. These meetings are perfect for getting your questions answered or just kind of seeing where things are. So, sorry to rush through that, but really I wanted to give you time to ask questions if you had any regarding sort of the venture, what's going on in venture here in Michigan right now.
Compared to Arsenal Ventures, what does Arsenal Ventures bring to this portfolio that you would say sets it apart from other investors that a portfolio company can go to?
Yeah. And so that's a really important question that you always ask. Not necessarily the first question you ask per se, but definitely a question when you're trying to figure out. So a couple things that Arsenal is really strong at is one, the firm's been doing it for over 14 years, so there's a long history. We've seen a lot, and we have a lot of relationships. Two, we are very well connected to the government and the military. So we run the Army's venture fund in addition to our traditional funds. Not that that's always a direct, not a lot of people are targeting the military, and we're not looking for technologies that are targeting the military, but they can often bring development dollars. They're looking for advanced technology, so they'll often bring technology dollars. The defense community in general, our relationships with the defense contractors, then extends all across the corporates. So in order to be, we've had to build relationships with all the semiconductor companies, and then that extends into the telecom companies. And so being able to connect to the corporate resources, not just financing, but also the engineering fees that you can get for your products. Those are probably the key things that we bring to the table. Yeah.
Within venture capital here in Michigan, what does the LP base look like? And I guess more specifically, do they weight economic development within Michigan, more heavily than say a venture fund that might be in the Bay Area or New York? Or
yeah, that's a very good question. And just, I'm not sure I mentioned it before, but Arsenal is a national firm. So we're based in Florida. We have a couple guys out in Palo Alto. I'm here in Michigan, and then we also have someone in Ohio. The LPs in our fund are pure economic return. So that's all they're looking for. Except for, we do have some state of Michigan money, 21st Century Fund dollars, which are focused on investing in investment groups that are have a focus on the state and the region. So they want to see us invest in the state. So there's, I guess, from that perspective, that's true. The rest, any institutional investor though that we have, really is looking for pure economic driven. But the state funds, so we have some LPs in Hawaii, and so we've got a little bit of economic driven there. But in general, I think the state has a mix of LPs. So there's certain LP groups that are investing in funds based on their economic impact on the state, but the majority of funds that are raised are based on pure economic decisions.
What about the change in crowdfunding, and have you seen much of, mostly for the startup community, if there has been an increase in the crowdfunding, providing a lot of the startups? And also, has the new equity crowdfunding regulation make any change? Has there been any impact on that in our state?
Yeah, so we're watching. My experience so far with the crowdfunding is that it's an awesome marketing tool for companies who already are well along the path, and they're really looking for some outside market validation in the tech space. Or there's a really cool product versus a company that's building a product roadmap and trying to bring that to market. And so I think it's a wonderful mechanism. Turtle Cell, I think, is a good example of one that was able to raise some funds and now is kind of pushing along in sort of their development cycle. So I think it can provide good capital if you can provide a product that can capture people's imagination. But it's pretty limited, I think, in terms of the, that's probably my phone, yeah. It's probably limited in terms of the impact that we're seeing now. The equity component, I don't know. That will be interesting to see if that changes when we are able to get into deals and the valuation of when we get into deals. Because I do think the even just the crowdfunding on the product level has allowed companies to go out and say, hey, I've got all this demand, so you should give me X more $1 million. And in a way, it's somewhat de-risked, so in a way it's okay, but it makes it harder for funds of smaller size to get enough of an equity stake. But we're watching it. I just not sure since the rules are still, how it will happen on the equity side, we'll see. Yeah.
The United States Supreme Court is supposed to hand out a decision by the end of June on patents and software. Have you developed any strategies depending on which way they go?
No, we'll play it by ear. Yeah, software is one of those things with patents. Honestly, we don't put a lot into the patents for software. It's about their ability to execute. And if we really think a company has something unique, how much lead do they have, and do they have the team to really take it forward and hit the market hard? I think patenting and software is hard to begin with. I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff that's been done on the patent side. But no, I think we'll continue to focus on most likely to focus on the companies where we see the team is in place to execute whether there's a patent or not.
Any other questions?
Well, I will be here after, and apologize again for being late, and thanks for your attention.
Milton.
Thank you.
Milton.
Yes. Need to change. Okay. Okay. While we are getting the next presenter, Travis, set up, Travis is a real sloth. He said he's free soloed and red pointed the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. He's skydived the Mile High City. He's run out of air while scuba diving. He's double blocked a professional AVP volleyball player. He's broken a rib in the boxing ring. Sounds like Tan and I. He cleared a 30-foot tabletop while snowboarding, and he climbed up 200 floors in 25 minutes and 20 seconds at the Fight for Air climb. The guy's a sloth. He just doesn't believe in getting off his couch. Talking about his business, his original idea came about in 1998 when he had to write a business plan for a college class. He was in his apartment, and he wanted to order food. So we all do. We went to the menu drawer to find a restaurant to order from. The drawer was a mess, couldn't find anything. So we wrote a plan that would allow restaurants to put their menus on the internet. So Travis, go ahead and take it away.
All right.
Thanks.
Again, my name is Travis Johnson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FoodJunkie.com. It's a website that makes it easy to order food. Now, we've all been there. Who hasn't had to order food and had a group of people to do? So what do? You take that yellow legal pad, you run that around the office. You ask, what does everyone want? You pass it around with a menu. Everyone writes their chicken scratch on it. Then it gets stuck at someone's desk, right? It'll sit there for how long? You got to go find it. All right, Sarah's got it or John's got it. You get it off the next desk to the next person. You finally get around to finding out what everyone wants for that meeting that's going to happen tomorrow. And it's like this. You can't read half of it, and half the things don't have names on it. And if you make a mistake, you're going to get yelled at. If only there was an easier way. Well, FoodJunkie.com has made that way a lot easier. You simply visit our site, enter an address, and then you're listed with a list of restaurants that are available in your area. From that list, you select a restaurant that you want to order from, give us a date and time that you want food. Followed by everyone's email address, as many as a couple hundred if you really want. And then you write a message so that everyone knows what's going on. And then instead of a meeting invitation, you send them a food invitation. They get the email in their inbox on their mobile phone. In that email has details about the meeting, the time, the restaurant that you're going to be ordering from, and a button to simply click place order. Up pops the menu. No username, no password. Really simple. You pick what you want from the menu, how you want it, and click submit. Easy process. It literally takes seconds. And it works on both Android and iOS. I want to talk a little bit about the market, specifically the carryout and food delivery market. It's actually a $60 billion a year market. That is $60 billion a year spent ordering food for carryout and delivery in the United States. Of that $60 billion, just 2% is transacted online. But why? Well, it's a problem of access. There are 990,000 restaurants in the US, of which you can only order from 33,000. That's only 3%. And that's with my competition aggressively marketing to restaurants for the past 15 years. But why have restaurants not adopted online ordering? Well, they're not really tech savvy. They don't really have the wherewithal to do it themselves. So they need a third party to help them bring them online. Competition, spearheaded by Grubhub Seamless, is there to help. Problem is their fees, on average, are 15%. And they go as high as 21%. Meanwhile, restaurant margins on average are only 13.5%. So they literally cannot afford these services, which explains the slow adoption rate over the last 15 years. Our model is a lot different. We actually do not charge restaurants anything for our services. We're kind of like Expedia, where the customer places an order on our site, whether it be a corporate or consumer customer, give us their credit card, and then we charge our fee, which is 99 cents per person. Doesn't sound like much, but it actually equates to about 9% of the average food order. And then the restaurant charges the same credit card for the actual food total. And then the restaurant takes over and delivers the food or makes it ready for the customer to come pick up. A very simple model. Now, total addressable market is actually $5.4 billion in revenue. That is, if every single order for carryout food delivery transacted through FoodJunkie.com, we represent $5.4 billion in revenue. Now, our serviceable addressable market is $4.7 billion, and that's the market that we can feasibly reach. We've actually got two target markets. One is corporate customers for $400 million in revenue, and then consumers for a combined target of $2.2 billion in revenue to FoodJunkie. We are looking to raise capital. We're looking to raise a total of $250,000, broken down between salaries, marketing, and working capital. We've actually already got commitments for half of that from both Bisdom and Invest Detroit. And we were recently named one of the top 7 Detroit startups at the Google for Entrepreneurs event. Now, we wouldn't be here today, and we wouldn't be able to do anything we're doing if we didn't have a great team. Andy Walden is our Chief Technical Officer. He's architected our entire system. Phil Borden is our chief software architect, and they're a seasoned professional with over 18 years experience. And there's Jeremy Johnson, our chief web developer. He actually built our entire front end. And there's myself. I actually have 5 patents to my name. If you ever purchased Campbell's soup at a grocery store in the last 8 or 9 years, you've actually utilized one of my patents. Well, I thank everyone for their time. If anyone has any questions, by all means. 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. Questions?
Yes.
So what's the biggest pushback? I mean, you're eliminating the barrier of the cost. What's the biggest pushback that you're getting either from the restaurants or from
Customers.
Yeah.
Okay, great question. Okay, so restaurants, we get 0 pushback from. We literally have 0 conversation with a restaurant before we add them to our system. In comparison to our competition, it takes on average 3 months for them to sign a restaurant. And that's, they literally go door to door. They knock on windows, they go into the business establishment. For the restaurant that do sign, it takes an average 3 months. We add restaurants to our site without the restaurant even knowing about it. Then we deliver them the order that the customer's requested, along with billing information and who's picking up the food or who to deliver it to. So we're essentially picking up the phone, calling a restaurant saying, hey, deliver this food here. So we get no pushback from restaurants because we're just bringing them orders. As for customers, we've had, I think probably the biggest pushback we've got is not being able to add the features that our customers want fast enough. I've got a development team of 3 people. We've got a laundry list of new features that we want to push out to the site. And we push new features every single week, but it's just not fast enough. Yes, in the back.
You are charging, I suspect it's all credit card business.
Yes, all credit card.
And you're charging $1 a head for the order.
Correct.
The restaurant is delivering the service and the food.
Correct.
What if there's a problem? Who does that customer go to and how do you handle it?
Excellent question. We bill ourselves as a VIP service. We bill ourselves as a concierge for the customer. We want the customer to contact us if there's any issues whatsoever. What we immediately do is we contact the restaurant and see what the restaurant can do on your behalf. 90% of our customers right now are businesses. And it's that busy professional administrator or executive assistant that doesn't have time to deal with these things. And quite honestly, they don't care what cost of food. They just care that the food's there or not. We go to the next step beyond that, and we, on our site, we actually let you know which restaurants have better service than other ones. So you can see, for downtown Detroit, you can see which restaurants are delivering on time 95% of the time. You can see which ones are delivering on time 75% of the time, or even less or even more, right? So we're giving the administrator the tools to know which restaurants you're going to be able to trust and sit down with. And then for the restaurants that do drop the ball, we contact the restaurant, make sure they get a coupon, food discount, food rushed there, the whole.
At the time of the event,
yes.
I use your service. At the time of the event, I'm not getting my food delivered. How do I handle it?
You contact us.
I don't have a contract with the restaurant.
Right.
You do.
Yes. You do have direct contact with the restaurant if you want,
I
but
don't have a contract. I have no leverage with the restaurant that's supplying my food.
You contact us, we take it over. We do as far as going to the restaurant, picking up the food, and delivering it direct to you. We do everything we possibly can to make our customers happy, and our customers give us great, we've got a laundry list of, quotes from our customers, and we're about to eclipse 1,000 customers right now that love the system and use it every day for their teams.
Change the subject. Positive cash flow?
Positive cash flow? No, we're not generating positive cash flow right now because of our burn rate.
Anticipated positive cash.
I'm sorry, what? Anticipated in the next 3 months. In the back?
What's your spend and burn right now?
Spend and burn right now, we're spending close to $4,000 a month.
Burning.
I'm sorry, what?
Burning.
How much you're earning?
How much did you burn?
I said close to $4,000 a month is our burn rate.
Okay.
Right.
So
yes.
no one's taking salaries or anything like that?
I'm not taking salaries. None of my founders are taking salaries. We do have a team member that does take a salary, and then we have overhead and other costs as well. And our revenue in the 99 cents model, while it represents a decent percentage of the food orders, it's still we're a high volume play. We've transacted almost $70,000 in food orders most of that in the last couple months. We did $2 million revenue in January, which is nothing. We did 4 times that in February. We did 3 times that last month, and we did 2 times that this month. So we're growing in multiples every single month. Yes?
You mentioned the number of food orders. Great product, by the way.
Thank you.
You mentioned the number of food orders in dollars. What about the number of transactions so you can, well, scale it up? Is it 1 billion transactions? So that'd be 999 million. What are the number of transactions?
So specifically, what is the question? What are the number of transactions to?
You make your money from transactions, not from the dollar amount.
Correct.
So could you convert the dollar amount to transactions? What are the number of transactions that are being done on an annual basis?
On an annual, well, we haven't been operating for a year yet. We've only been operating realistically since January of this year.
Not in your business. You had like 49 billion is the takeout food business. What's the number of transactions in the takeout food business?
Oh, you know, that's a very good question, and I can't tell you the exact answer to that. I know the entire industry is $60 billion for carryout delivery. As far as the number of transactions that is, I can't really tell you. I can tell you that our average fee is 9% of the total order. So you can kind of back end it that way, but I don't have an exact number for you.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go around to the end for more questions. Travis, you be able to stay till the end for some more questions? Great.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, next up is Joe Minock. When Joe's not working on one of his startups, he's an adrenaline junkie. Sounds a lot like Travis. That started at a very early age. He was in middle school. He was a national champion and a national record holder on short track inline speed skating. In high school, he was a regional champion and an all-state ski racer. Over the last 8 years, he's coached ski racing at USSA and at the high school level, and his girls' ski team was state champion last year. Outside of skiing, he enjoys mountain biking, climbing, hiking, and the occasional jump out of a perfectly good airplane. As far as business is concerned, as a ski coach and e-commerce consultant, one of his athletic directors came to him with a problem. 2009, lost administrative support across 5 staff, across 5 schools. Everyone was storing everything, paper, registrations, everything was just a mess. It was taking more than 60 days to process registrations. Team rosters are off, and parents were not very happy when the checks were finally cashed. And of course, they bounced because they've been written 2 or 3 months before. So he put a solution in place. In 3.5 years, they've already processed $2.5 million worth of these type of school-type transactions. So I think we're up here. We're almost up here.
Yeah.
Still days, I long for the days of making overhead transparencies. All you had to worry about was the bulb burning out there. There were no formatting problems.
Reminds me of when we were at Quicken Loans and the shades went down, the lights went off.
Oh, yes. Someone forgot to reset the timer about when the room
We were supposed to be out of there
down.
by 8 and everything closed down. We should do announcements.
We'll do that. Does anybody have any events coming up over the next month that you want to tell people about?
Well, I
Yes.
have one. Mini Maker Fair will be in Ann Arbor this Saturday from like 10 to 5. Mini Maker Fair. It's the prelude to Maker Fair, which will be at the end of July, beginning of August at Dearborn and Henry Ford.
So where is this taking place in Ann Arbor?
Oh, the Ann Arbor one is at Washtenaw Community College, Morris Lawrence Building. You go to Mini Maker Fair, I think it's .org. You'll see all the details. If you have kids, it's a great thing to go to. If you're a maker, it's a great thing to go to.
It is on.
Anything else? Yes, in the middle.
Next Wednesday evening at Grand Circus, there's a best shot competition. So there's $40,000 in prizes for basically the best pitch, and it's being put on by the Michigan Innovation Center, Insight, and Grow Detroit. So check that out.
That's at the Grand Circus.
Yep.
Not so much an announcement of an event, but I promised somebody I'd announce. We're looking for National Science Foundation I-Core mentors for a cohort that starts May 20th here in Michigan. We're short about 6. If anybody's interested, see me. I'll hang around for a little bit.
MIT Enterprise Forum has an event. When you talk about NSF, we have a former astronaut who is a dean of one of the schools at U of M Dearborn, talking about some of his experiences with Apollo, Space Shuttle Challenger, and the International Space Station. And we also have one of the world's leading cosmologists and astrophysicists that will be linking in from Grand Rapids, talking about her new theories on the origins of the universe. So you can go to the DNewTech website and get some more information about that. But we have pretty awesome 2 speakers, and they'll be connected. So you can either go to Dearborn and see it there, or you can also log in remotely.
Yeah, and of course, Ann Arbor New Tech is the 3rd Tuesday of the month in Ann Arbor. Similar format to this.
We're almost there.
Okay.
And backed it up online, so.
Yeah, your 5 minutes is up, Joe.
I know, seriously.
Let's give him a round of applause, and we'll go to our questions and answers. The slides are very clear.
I know something about darn math books.
So it wasn't your computer, it was like a switch somewhere?
I hope it's still. Yeah, it looks like it's in this one straight up.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Okay, give me a second to pull the timer back up.
All right.
You should get double the time now.
Okay, I'm good with that.
All right, we'll add an extra minute to his time then.
No,
Okay, go ahead.
We'll handle it in 5. I don't have one of those fancy mics, so I'm going to hang out over here. Good evening, my name is Joe Minock. I am the co-founder and CEO at PaymentScholar. At PaymentScholar, we make registrations and payments really easy for parents and schools. And what that means is, in the school setting, there are forms, payments, all sorts of things that parents have to make on behalf of their students. When those forms, payments, cash, check, credit card, and all formats make it to the school, they generally end up in a giant pile of paper, and a general ledger report on somebody else's desk. The real problem there is the fact that those forms take a lot of time to process, and the accounting, because it happens in a different office, the reports don't get back to the right people. So there's a profound disconnect between registration and payment. And change that. So our system, PaymentScholar, we make branded payment and registration websites for schools and school districts. So where you see PaymentScholar and the different the color scheme here, that would be branded for your school district. Their logo, their colors, everything for the district. As a parent, when you want to make a registration on behalf of your child, you pick a registration page, go in, get the information about the program, start the registration process, download or fill out the online forms that are attached to that registration. And once you've completed that, you're able to also look at the schedule. We automate things, automate confirmations, we automate reports and data so that your school can be more efficient in how they process that. Right now, one of our pilot school districts that we're speaking with, it takes them approximately 6 weeks out of every school year to process their registration for athletics alone. That delay is also 60 days per cycle. So you're seeing an accumulation of about 180 days per school year on those registration payments. If you think about that, that's an entire school year of accumulated delays. How do we make money? We make 4% of every transaction, and we're also researching a flat transaction for access on each month. So a district might pay something in the range of $100 to $1,000 depending on size and transaction volume, and then we are charging 4%. Now, one thing to note, there are competitors in the space. In fact, there's a lot of them. No one's done this right. They all handle a very small slice of the pie. And where we really differ from our competitors is that we allow payments and track payments by way of credit card, electronic check. Our competitors do that. But we also make it really easy for the school in that they can still accept cash and check payments. There are still a lot of parents out there that refuse to make transactions online. We track all of that. So I'll go back here really quickly. This confirmation right on the back, wrap your check or cash in that, send it to the school, and the school knows that payment is coming. Validation. We did a 3.5-year pilot with a local school district. We were able to do $2.5 million in gross processing over that time. And we saw an average of about $113 a transaction, 6,000 transactions a year. That was across 5 schools. That pilot was not implemented to the fullest extent. There was no onboarding done. It's one of the services that we provide. U.S. market, there's 13,588 school districts. There are something in the range of almost 150,000 total schools. So when you look at that, the market's quite large. This number here, $25.4 billion, that's actually a combination of a number of different sources of revenue. Pay to participate, food services, different clubs and fees, PTO, PTSA. All of these things are broken into create quite a large market for us to go after. We are raising capital. We're fortunate to be a part of this and family of businesses. So we have raised $25,000 to date. We are looking to close a pilot phase of a $100,000 convertible note that we're preparing to pitch for. We're looking to use those funds to complete the development of our existing platform, build out and expand on our reporting, as well as hire a few part-time individuals. Once we've completed that and grown to 20+ districts, we're looking to dramatically, rapidly, and aggressively go to market. Patti noted one thing earlier, Kickstarter. Parents hate the educational technology that they use today. And we're looking to leverage that, not so much to raise money for the business, but to get in front of all of those parents that have that great pain. Once we have, again, achieved the 20 districts, we're hitting the gas pedal. We're looking to raise $500,000 to $600,000 to complete the development of version 2. which is a complete reconstruction of our existing platform. And that's it.
Perfect. Questions?
Yes.
Good presentation, by the way. I currently go to a private high school, and we actually just started an annual fund campaign. Well, annually we do it, but there's quite a bit of cash flow that comes into the school. And I was wondering if you handle, the company handles charitable transactions as well.
We're looking at actually providing that as an option. So one school that we've actually spoken with, if there are any funds left over in a family account at the end of the year, they're allowed, or they're able to keep that as a charitable transaction. So we're looking at a multitude of transaction types. Partial transactions, I'll give you some examples. So tuition is a great example. Being able to pay that over multiple months. Let me step back a little bit to answer the question even better. Our ultimate goal is to touch every transaction with the school, and that's why I presented the market number that I did. So food service, ticket sales, concessions, etc. We want to handle all of that. So tuition is a big part of that. And tuition, again, monthly or paying it annually. On top of that, large trips like taking school to Washington, D.C. Parents can't make that all at once. On top of that, there are business rules in place for a lot of districts where they only require payment up to a certain point. Athletics, for example, they might have a $600 cap. If a student's in 3 sports, it might be $300 per sport. We're able to break that out so that they hit the cap and don't pay anything more.
Why did you do a 3.5-year pilot?
It seems
quite long,
and I don't disagree with you. Personally, I've been notorious for being way ahead of the curve, and we wanted to really watch it, hone the product, and make sure that it was working properly. We've also, in that time, monitored what the competitors were doing and found that they're resting primarily on their laurels and not improving the product to the extent that they're doing things that we want to do and going where we really plan to go. Yes?
Help me better understand who your key customer is.
We're calling on the athletic directors, administrators, superintendents of every school or school district.
And also, so school districts, you're talking K-12 education?
Yes.
Primarily public is going to make up the number, that 13,000 number, obviously, right?
That 13,000 number does account for primarily public, but there are a number of private and charter school districts that are included in that number.
Who within the school district are you talking to?
We're talking directly to the chief financial officer, the director of technology. They're the ultimate decision makers.
So they're your customers?
Yes.
Because you said earlier you were talking to athletic directors.
The athletic director, athletics makes up for roughly 40% of a district.
We understand that, but they're not the decision makers.
In some districts they are.
You mentioned from V1 to V2 you're doing a complete rewrite, so I'm curious from a technology or platform perspective, what did you learn on V1 that is causing a complete rewrite on V2? And how much of the fundraising you're doing right now is going to complete rebuild of the platform?
So, a couple questions there. I'm just trying to hit all of them, make sure I get them. So, we've been able to build on a e-commerce platform that allowed us to scale up and bring on a lot of clients very quickly, or I should say a lot of clients, build up the platform to where it has a lot of functionality so we can take those clients on. But we do hit a limit with that platform. That's why we are re-architecting the second version. So the first version is complete. I'd be happy to show you the demo of what that looks like. The next version, we're looking at between 50 and 120,000, depending on how we break out and what we define ultimately as our go-to-market technology with that second version.
And then, just as a follow-up, everybody else, I don't want to overtake the conversation. A lot of the transactions you're talking about are cash-based today, and I'm on a school board for a school district, so a little bit more view into the workings of how a district funds or groups money for different initiatives. But a lot of things you're talking about are cash-based today. Are you looking at enabling them to move away from cash and go to an electronic transaction so that you can capture a percentage of that?
Absolutely. For us, ideally, we want every transaction on our system. But again, going back to the point, many parents still are not comfortable doing that. We do still give them the option to track the manual payments, the cash and the check. But yes, we are looking to find every way to move them over. But that's where also charging a monthly and or annual fee for use of the platform comes in to cover that. Can you go one more?
No. Let's go ahead and start the move. We have one more speaker, and then we'll be able to give everyone ask questions. You really think that the third Apple is going to... Hey, we'll be optimistic.
The cable.
Actually, it just worked. I saw it.
I tested it. We'll see if it still just live.
We're not going to second guess. We'll go ahead and do the introduction. So while Tom Crawford is getting his machine... Wow, that's awesome. To set up here. Tom is a programmer. He's a cook. And he's a musician. As I said, it's all about art and science. They're all aggressively connected. Talking about the business, he already has 10,000 users for his platform, and they're growing at about 1,000 new customers a month just here in Southeast Michigan. So Tom, go ahead and tell us, what is the system that's doing so well? And you have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you. And thanks to DNewTech and to TechTown for having me in. Happy to be here. We are talking today about happy hour deals. It exists right now for iOS and Android, so you can go out and download it right away and check it out. It started back about a year ago with a friend of mine and I. We were sitting at a bar in Ann Arbor called Good Time Charlie's, and we were wondering where to go because we always go to the same places over and over and over again. And we didn't know where to go, and there was no good place to go to get that information. So we decided to go look, and of course, as always, there is an app for that, but the apps suck. So we decided to write our own. The apps that currently exist are slow to load. They'll take 30 to 60 seconds anytime you change criteria, sometimes more. They have a difficult UX. They're generally ugly. They have extraneous features such as coat check, because frankly, if I'm going to get a cheap drink, I don't really care if they have coat check or not. That's not one of the priorities I'm looking for. A lot of websites out there, but of course the websites don't work when you're offline and they're not mobile. They're not up to date, and a lot of them have unverified data. So for example, the Go Time up in the left corner, which is one of the biggest competitors, has 5 Conroe O'Neills, a bar in Ann Arbor, in the system. So if you go search for it, you'll get 5 of them. All of them list different deals at different times, and all of them are wrong. So they don't check their data. So we created our own app, which I'll demo in just a second. A lot of people ask us, since data is a really big deal, where we get our data. We actually do it the old-fashioned way. We pick up the phone and call them and ask them what there are. Because we go to their websites, but the websites are out of date. Most restaurants and bar owners don't actually update their websites, so you can't even rely on those. We do, however, go to the websites. We go to Yelp, we go to Google, we go to the State of Michigan Liquor Commission to find them. And we also, the Convention and Visitors Bureaus have been great sources of data for us, supplying them for different regions like Grand Haven. How we make money, we do featured listings in the app, so restaurants and bar owners pay to be at the top of the list. The app itself is free. We also have started a whole consulting business on it now. We can tell you for every major walkable city in southern Michigan what the different happy hours are in that region and what the competition is doing and how best to frame your new happy hour or revised happy hour that you're doing, as well as bring in different regions and say, hey, what's going on in Vegas or what's going on in DC or New York, which are upcoming additions to our market. So compare across markets. Also, we've got interest, actually just this week, new potential lead on API licensing for the data to integrate with other websites. So that's actually a very exciting thing. So rather than just tell you about it, it's probably best to actually demo it. So this is the app. You can very quickly change data. So this is based on, we're not online right now, so this is running on my laptop. But if we wanted to say today and now, there are 2 happy hour deals within 1 mile, reasonable walking distance of here. If we were to change that to, yes, the internet is disabled. If we were to change that to 5 miles, there are 10 happy hours going on right now within 5 miles of this location. If you get to, say, Ann Arbor, which I won't switch to for this demo, but if you were going to switch to Ann Arbor at 5 o'clock, there, within 5 miles, there are 88 happy hours going on. 88 happy hours. Within walking distance of downtown Ann Arbor, there are 55. When you get to that level of information, it becomes hard to sort through even that list. So we allow you another level of criteria to say, hey, I'm not looking for all of them, I'm just looking for the ones that have one. Or I'm just looking for martinis, or I'm just looking for beer, whatever it is you might be. And then from there you can say, all right, Hard Rock has one going on, and it is half off draft beer for Quicken Loans employees. So there you go. So that's the basic idea. You can also have a map view, and you can also search by name. So if you aren't necessarily in a region or just want to know all the locations that Applebee's has that are in the app, you can always look at those as well. That is the short version of the demo. Great. What questions do you have? Is that better for you, Roger? Yes.
So how long does it take you to do data collection when you enter a new market? So if you say New York, I mean, there's quite a few happy hours going on at one time.
Yeah, it turns out New York isn't as big of a market as you think. They have just about the same number of bars per block as we do in Ann Arbor or Detroit or just about everywhere else. There just happens to be a bit more blocks, but other than that, the actual density of places is not any higher. It takes us about an hour to do 15 for the data collection, so that's about the number we use for budgeting for this.
And how often do you update it throughout the year or monthly?
For existing ones, we're doing somewhere between a quarter and 6 months, depending on which places and how we gather the data. So every quarter, every 6 months for updating. For adding, we're adding as quickly as we can. We just added another 40 bars and restaurants this past weekend. So, quite a few. Yes.
Have you heard of Happy Hour Pal?
Happy Hour Pal, yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
So I work with them. I help mentor them. And one of their key differentiators is their integration with the actual bars and restaurants, because this information does get outdated very fast. 6 months or to a quarter is not enough. So how do you plan to build that relationship with the actual vendor to drive them to be actually doing real-time deals or things that will drive traffic to their business when they need it?
We've done two things to address that. One, we don't list the specific deal. So if you look at a bar or restaurant, especially beer tends to be one of the deals that changes a lot. Some distributor comes along and says, this month you should do Bud instead of Miller, and they switch. But it's still going to be a $2.25 beer, it's just which one are they switching to. That tends to be the thing. So we don't say the specific brand name, plus we're not advertising for the brand. So if they did, we'd put their name in. But we just say $2.25 on select beer, or select draft beer. That's one way we do it. The other thing we've done is we've talked to a lot of the bars and restaurants, and because they're not maintaining their own website, they're not willing to maintain another one, and that tends to be a very big challenge. There are a few that do, and we have a portal for them, and we're starting to open that up more broadly so that they can log in and do their own maintenance for the ones that really care about that. But that's less than 10% of the bars and restaurants that have any interest in that. So it still comes back to us to call them and be more frequent. Other questions? Yes?
What percentage of your revenue is coming from consulting, and how are you charging for that?
The consulting is a per hour basis. Outside of this app, we do other consulting as well, and it's just part of that same business. This is more specialized for that. As far as a percentage goes, I would say we're probably at about 25% on the consulting. It's still pretty brand new.
How much per hour?
I'm sorry?
How much per hour?
How much per hour? It depends on what we can negotiate with them, because we'd rather have other deals like an ongoing, have them be listed in the app rather than be promoted in the app rather than just doing a one-time consulting gig. But anywhere from 100 to 150 an hour is the typical consulting range. In the back.
I guess a statement and a question. So or concern would be, so from your end users supporting it, like you said, they don't manage their own website, they're not going to manage the others, but they would use an application to quickly update what their happy hour is from a data perspective. It's in their pocket, they can do it on a whim, they can do whatever they want that way. The second one is, it seems from a scalability perspective, is how do you scale to outside of a regional market, considering the very hands-on, touchy side of that because it isn't as easy as a mobile app for them today. And then how do you monetize it with something that is so manually intensive?
It's a great question. So you asked two in there. One was the maintenance using an app. We actually are in development of the maintenance app that goes along with this that we can give to bars and restaurants so they can pull it up on the fly and do it. So that is absolutely in development, actually nearly done. So that's exciting. The, as far as the expanding outside markets, what we're looking to do is kind of follow somewhere between a Wikipedia or a Yelp model where we have regional leaders, you know, that help actually maintain the data and validate the data for their region. Because it's also hard, one of the bigger things is knowing which bars and restaurants open and close. The standard restaurant closes within 12 months of opening. So it turns over very, very quickly just on that. The longer term ones aren't so bad, but the shorter ones, that can be very difficult. And we wouldn't know without a local person being able to tell us that, hey, a new place opened or an old place closed. So we're looking to expand into that method. It seems to have worked well within very specific guidelines. You had a question right there.
Well, I'll change my question because he partially answered, but what is your funding plans now? What are you looking for to help expand your business?
So mostly what we're looking for is people to help gather the data. As we open this up to be those leaders, we're looking for people who can go out and bring the data in, validate the data that other people bring in from the crowdsourcing in particular. So that's mostly what we're looking for. As far as cash, we're cash flow positive, so we don't actually need the investment. We're not looking for actual dollars. We're looking for market.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. That ends the formal portion of the evening. I think that Patti, Chris, Travis, Joe, and Tom are all going to stay here for a while, so please mingle with one another. Our next DNewTech meetup is?
It's going to be in a practice space, which is in Midtown. So another co-working space. You can read more about it on DNewTech.
Yeah. So it's the first Monday of the month.
And also want to say, if you guys know anybody who wants to present, please let us know. We definitely would love to give more wisdom teams and startups to present. Anyone have an idea, reach out to us. Just to give you guys a brief idea, DNewTech is pretty much one of the things we all know as entrepreneurs is that when we do a business or a startup, everyone thinks that their baby is the most beautiful baby. But the whole idea here is that we give an opportunity for you to present for 5 minutes to kind of just share what you're doing. And the best thing is about the 5 minutes after that, you give Q&A, and then we'll just ask you questions, and again, hopefully get your mind cranking. So that's the whole idea. And the other thing we kind of add to that is that we do bring people like Patti in, and investors and credible investors and successful entrepreneurs who can actually share their stories, and so that we can all kind of learn from. So hopefully you guys can spread the word and let us know if there's any good presenters out there.
Great. Thank you all very much. Drive safely.
Yeah.